self-reflection on the Lord's Prayer in the divine service. So you may remember that in the 1941 hymnal, the Lutheran hymnal, on page 15, on page 5, the whole congregation speaks the whole Lord's Prayer, including the doxology, together. We all speak it out loud. But on page 15 of the Lutheran hymnal, the pastor alone says the Lord's Prayer, and then the congregation joins in the doxology. Now, the page 15 is now what we call Divine Service 3 in Lutheran Service Book. And so when we're doing Divine Service 3, page 15 of the TLH, someone mentions saying, shouldn't we all be saying the Lord's Prayer? And the answer is yes. In Divine Service 1 and 2, we all say the Lord's Prayer together. But you'll notice that I say, hey, I'm going to be praying the Lord's Prayer out loud. Please join me silently in your hearts. And so I just want to go over, why is it that we're doing that? Because it does seem just like a little odd that I'm praying the Lord's Prayer out loud while you're only praying it silently in your hearts. Why are we not all saying it together? So just think through, a few of the advantages of me saying the Lord's Prayer and you silently joining me in your hearts. Number one, you'll notice in Matthew chapter 6 that the Lord's Prayer ends with "Deliver us from evil." The other part, "For thine is the kingdom," the doxological conclusion, was added liturgically from, I think it's like 2 Corinthians 29 or something like that, or 1 Corinthians 29. "For thine is the kingdom and the glory." That's not part of the Lord's Prayer. It's a liturgical conclusion to the Lord's Prayer, and a really good one. So it makes it very clear that where the Lord's Prayer actually ends, or, perhaps the way we should call it the Our Father. I don't know if I'm going to win that argument in the Lutheran Church. So when the Lord's Prayer ends with "Deliver us from evil." So that's one advantage. Secondly, when I pray the Lord's Prayer all by myself, we get out of that kind of rote way of speaking, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." I can kind of mix it up, and just doing things a little bit different forces us to think about things a little bit differently. It has that advantage. And then thirdly, we're able to sing, "For thine is the kingdom." We're able to sing that part, the doxological conclusion. And someone said, oh, well, we can all speak it and then join in the doxological conclusion in a sung form, to which I say, no, that is not going to work. In 26 years of being a pastor and leading worship, I know there's certain things that just don't work, or not very well, or require way too much training. And so if we're all going, "And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom." You're not going to get a congregation to transfer from speaking to singing. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You can say we can make it work, but it's not going to work. So those are the three advantages. It mixes things up. It makes the Lord's Prayer from Matthew 6 clearer, and then we can sing the doxological conclusion. And so you think about it in a different way. Do we have to do it that way? No, we have freedom in the gospel. But also why we have multiple forms of the Lord's Prayer, depending on whether we're doing Divine Service 3, or more often not Divine Service 3, where we all speak it together. All right, so again, that's self-reflection. We don't have to do it this way. I could mix it up. I could get rid of the singing of the doxology, and we could just all speak the whole thing together. We could do it that way, or we can continue to have the three advantages I just mentioned. All right, God's peace out.